Hello, hi, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to teach you all the learning and teaching of second semester. So here it's a question paper of a 2024. So this is a question paper of which I have written in the November month, that means this month only, and I'm sharing you all the questions. In the part A you need to write 10 questions for the 5 marks only. So they will give you as the option also. For the option, 2 questions you will get in a question number, and you need to write at least one. It's compulsory one question, and second one is option. You will choose one question to write, and you will get 5 marks for that. Like that, in the part A there are total 10 questions. In the part B there are 2 questions for the essay marks. Those are for 15 marks, and you will get 2 questions in the part B. Okay, understand that? So now part A, if you observe for the first unit, from the first unit you got explain types of learning and define memory. Write about the types of memory. That means explain the types of learning means which is from 1.1 topic, which is it. The second one is 1.3 topic. Okay, and the second question, explain transfer of learning. Write about its education implications. So here this one is from the implications, transfer of learning. Yeah, transfer of learning is from 1.4. The topic is 1.4. So here you can get a little bit confusion, because here in the 1.4 transfer of learning concept, theories and types they have given. So here they are asking write about its education implications. So later on we will discuss in briefly. Okay, and the next one is define method of improving the motivation. In the motivation means method of improving motivation, it's from the 1.5. So if you observe these questions from first unit, you got 1.1, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. So except the 1.2, you got all the questions from the unit 1. So you need to prepare, as it is for the 80 marks, you need to prepare each and every question without losing any question, because you got all the questions from the unit 1, right? So let's continue to the unit 1 topic. First unit is process of learning. In the process of learning, the first topic is concept of learning, types of learning, and factors of influencing the learning. So what is the meaning of the learning, right? It's an introduction. So you need to prepare the question with first one is introduction and the definition. If it is having any definition, you need to write compulsory the definition, then only you will get the marks. And the next thing, what are the meaning also you need to write. And here it's a concept of learning, types of learning, and factors influencing. They have asked 3 topics. So we can write as the general characteristics of the learning, and principles of learning, and types of learning. Okay, and also the factors influencing the learning, right? So coming to the first thing is learning, right? So the learning is an important phase of human life. It is a basic factor in education. Its growth in adaptation of the behavior to wide variety of situations and circumstances. So the learning is a comprehensive term, right, and includes varied activities and experiences which have an important influence on behavior of an individual. So coming to the definition, according to the Mun, learning is more or less permanent incremental modification of behavior which results from activity, special training, or the observation. According to the Crow and Crow also, learning involves the acquisition of the knowledge, habits, and attitudes. According to the Skinner, learning is both acquisition and retention. So you need to observe clearly who gave the which definition. If you have miswritten also the definition one to the another, then also you will lose the marks. Okay, you need to clearly observe and clearly remember all the definitions also. Not all important, only single definition is also enough, right? So the characteristics of the learning is progressive change in behavior, right? We learn from the birth to death in the life process. From the birth to death also we will learn each and every, right, everything, right? So learning is progressive change in behavior. Learning is adjustment, learning is growth, learning is organizing experience, learning is continuous, learning is purposeful, learning is universal, and learning is active, and learning is need also, and need based, and learning is intelligent and creative. Learning affects the conduct of the learners. Okay, now coming to the principles of learning. Learning is a fundamental process of life. Without it, life cannot exist and no progress can take place. So it's very much important in the life. So learning affects all modes of behavior, maybe skills, knowledge, attitude, personality, motivation, and fear and mannerism, etc. Life is a continuous process. It starts from the birth and continues till the death also. And learning is a purposive or goal directed. It's not an aimless activity, so it have the aim and goal, right? Learning is change in response or behavior, may be favorable or unfavorable, right? So types of learning. Coming to the types of learning, there are many types of n number of types of learning. So signal learning. Coming to the signal learning, it's commonly termed as a classical condition. So according to the Pavlov, who is a Russian philosophist, psychologist, Pavlov developed the theory of the classical condition, right? So in the second unit we will learn all the conditions, theories and everything. Okay, behavior perspectives and everything in the second unit. So in the first unit now we are learning this signal learning. Signal learning, which means the condition or unconditioned stimulus and conditioning stimulus, sound of the bell and food, are paired together and presented to the dog a number of times with the result that CS, that means conditioning stimulus, sounds of the bell, is presented alone. It elicits saliva. So this modification of the behavior causing the salivation to the sound of the bell is called as a conditioning. So it's showing the signal for the dog, right? Stimulus. And SR learning, that means in operant conditioning, the puzzle box experiments on the cats by Thorndike and a series experiment conducted by the B.F. Skinner on animals prepared a ground for the use of the principles of instrument conditioning in human learning also. The chain learning, there are two types of chain learning, verbal chaining and motor chaining, right? So the connection of set of individual SR in frequency X turning on the TV set. So verbal chaining means it's a matter of connecting together in a sequence two or more previously learned stimulus, SS, RSS, right? R's. And motor chaining. The example of motor chaining can be given by the simple task of driving. So the task of driving a motor consists of a several learned changing of the motor activities, right? The verbal associated learning, a simple verbal chain is illustrated in the activities. So some S is object, R is observing. S is doll, R is doll. So here is, if a child given this object and observe doll, so a child is shown as an object as a doll. The next time if he sees the particular object, he will be able to say that it is a doll, right? Observation, right? So the multiple discrimination. The multiple discrimination is nothing but when the behavior shows the specificity of response to one given stimulus to the exclusion of others, we may say that the discrimination has taken place. So discrimination involved higher mental process and solve the problems. Learning concept. We form concept by finding the properties which a class of objects share in common. We learn generalization, classes and discrimination. So the next thing is the learning of the principle. Principle show the regular relationship among the two or more. So concepts, there are a large number of principles that every individual masters in order to function properly in the environment. Most of the classroom learning contributes to the development of the principle. So the problem solving. Problem solving means it comes to the highest stage of the hierarchy of the learning process. It depends on the learning of the rules and abstract reasoning. So factors influence the third concept, the third thing in the 1.1. that is factors influencing the learning. There are not much. So personal factor, motivational interest, prior knowledge and experience, learning styles and abilities, these are known as the personal factors. So environmental factors means family, around the family, social background and school and classroom environment, and cultural societal influence. Instructional factors like teaching methods, approaches, curriculum and content, assessment and feedback. So to conclude this, these factors interact and influence the learning process, making it a complex and dynamic phenomenon. So understanding these factors can help the educators and learners optimize the learning process, right? So the next thing is learning process. So if you observe, it's not there in the question, so it can be excluded in this topic. Means you need to learn each and every topic. For the exam purpose point of view, you can skip one question from the each unit, because the remaining question can be come. So the expectation from the unit 1, you can get all the questions except one question, right? So you need to visualize which question cannot not that much of important in the examiner point of view. So right, so in the question, the 1.2 also you need to learn. For the perspective of the examiner, you need to learn, you can skip one topic from the each unit. So now I am teaching the 1.2 topic, learning process and attention, sensation and perception and concept formation. So what is the meaning of all these learning process? In the learning process, we will attempt, we will face all these stages: attention, sensation, perception and concept formation. What do you mean by attention? The ability to selectively focus on certain stimuli or tasks while ignoring others. Sensation, the process of detecting, encoding sensory information from the environment. Perception, the interpretation and organization of the sensory information to create the meaning. Concept formation, the process of creating mental representations or the concept based on perceived information. So the stages of learning process are attention, sensation, perception, concept formation, memory, language and problem solving. So these stages are not linear but rather interactive and cyclical. So with each stage influence the others, right? Effective learning, so occurs when the learners is able to focus attention on relevant information, accurately perceive and interpret sensory information, form clear and meaningful concepts, store and retrieve information from the memory, apply learned information to new situations. So while learning, the learning process is continuing, you need to be attent, you need to be sensation, you have perception and the concept formation also you need to have in the process of learning. Okay, so here the 1.3, it's a mistake, 1.3 here. So memory and forgetting. So the next topic is memory and forgetting concept, types of memory, applicability to learning and strategies for the better management of the memory. So what do you mean by memory actually? So memory means ideal revival of an object or event in the or experience. So it's a recall of an old personal experience which had a temporarily dropped from our consciousness. So it may be exemplified by taking the case of our remembering some past fact of our childhood. A witness giving evidence in a court furnishes a typical example of the memory. So according to the definition of the Stouts and Woodworth, these two are for the memory, and the stages in a memory are those four: registration of the learning, retention, recall, recognition. So the above stages are explained below. These are the registration or learning. The learning or registration is the first step in memory. So whenever something is learned, it leaves behind the record or impression or something related to that expression. So experience. So the impression is registered in our mind. That is known as a registration. Retention. Every experience they leave behind it residual dispositions or traces which are retained and they help in subsequent recall. So this fact of retaining traces is named as a retention. So recalling the reproduction of the material learnt and retained in the mind, it implies the reviving of the memory traces in the brain structure. So recognition, which is nothing but the last and the most important factor, which is the memory, is recognition. And whenever an event or an experience is recalled, the must be recognized to be our own. That is, we have ourselves experienced in the past. The types of memory are the short-term memory, long-term memory, and habitual memory, remote memory, rote memory, episodic memory, and sensory memory. So what are the meaning of the rapid learning? Rapid learning is good memory facilitate the learning and not much time is wasted. So certain other factors like connect concentration, attention, interest are also improved. Long term, that means person is retaining in the learned material for a longer time. Early and accurate recall. Early recall is another indication of the good memory. So certain people cannot recall the right thing at the right time. So they have bad memory. Good memory facilitate them rapid and accurate recall when a certain occasion demands to it. So rapid recognition, every early recall must be accompanied by the quick recognition of the defined idea needed for the certain occasion. So suggestions to improve the memory means favorable conditions which improve the remembering, improving methods for the to enhance the memory. So what is the topic of forgetting? Actually, what is the meaning of forgetting? Every day we will forget something, right? Normal phenomenon of our day-to-day life. It's a negative phase of memory. So it's failure to recall the experience and generally taken as a mark of a poor memory. So causes of forgetting means fading memory trace, lapse of time, lack of interest, retroactive inhibition, and emotional disturbances and repression. So what are the suggestions for the recognition or remembering means revision, motivation, time gap between the two learning activities, and let the child has no fear, right? So to conclude this, by understanding the memory and applying these strategies, learners can improve the information retention, recall, and application, and leading to more effective learning. So the next topic is 1.4, that is transfer of learning. So in the previously you have heard this topic in the question paper, right? Transfer of learning. So what do you mean by transfer of learning? The ability to apply learned knowledge, skills, and attitudes to new situation, context, or tasks, right? So definition according to the Crow and Crow. So types of learning, there are 4 types of learning: positive, negative, zero, bilateral. So positive transfer, that means when learning in one situation facilitates learning in another situation, it is a case of the positive transfer. For example, transfer of knowledge of the mathematics to field of the physics. So knowledge of driving a scooter or to driving a car. So it's a positive transfer. Negative transfer. When learning a ozone task makes the learning of another task harder, this is called as a negative transfer. So that students will feel that this is the very complicated than the other thing. So the negativity of the transfer. Zero transfer means when learning of one activity neither facilitates nor retards. So nothing is gained from the knowledge gaining in that learning, right? So bilateral transfer, where that means the possibility of the transfer of learning from one hand to another hand because has been studied with the reference to simple motor skills. So the concept, what do you mean the concept means? Here some theories also there. So theories of a Thorndike's theory, transfer of learning is based on the similarity between the original learning situation and the new situation. So transfer takes place from the one activity to another. So the next thing is the theory of the generalization of experience. So this theory is an identical element theory. So but the further adds that transfer of learning takes place because of the people learn to acquire some broad principles like generalization and principles and generalization which he applies that in a number of situations which have identical elements. So theory of the ideals and procedure. So ideals of procedure, neatness and punctuality and hard work, honest, etc. When consciously striven for the and gain given an emotional tone transfer. So the person behind this theoretical formulation is a W.C. Begley. This theory has to some extent received experimental support from the finding of Squire and Regier. The next thing is the configuration or transpiration of theory. So this theory are put forward by the Gestalt psychologists who emphasize the total pattern of behavior. So transfer of learning is training is dependent upon the whole part relations between the old and new situations. So coming to the types of transfer: horizontal transfer, vertical transfer. That means applying the learned knowledge and skills to the similar task or situation within the same domain or context. Or the vertical means applying the learned knowledge and skills to more complex or abstract tasks or a different domain or the context. So while understanding this transfer of learning, educators can design the instructions to promote the transfer and improve the learning outcomes. So coming to the 1.5 topic, that is role of motivation in learning methods of improving the motivation. So actually the motivation is derived from the Latin word movere, which means to move. In the literal sense, it is a process of which arouses the energy or drive in the individual to proceed in an activity. The activity arouses, fulfills the need and reduces the drive or tension. Until it has not fulfilled the need, the drive is not reduced. So definition according to the Lowell. So this is the definition. And the types of motivation, there are two types of motivation: natural motivation, artificial motivation. So the natural motivation, which means it is the factors related to the individual that motivate the individual to act and achieve the goal. For example, various internal factors like psychological needs, emotional needs, social needs, ego, etc. become the cause of drivers to further motivating a person to achieve a desired goal. Artificial motivation, that means external motivation, that is making use of external motivation factors like ideal, knowledge of result and reward, punishment, competition, cooperation and evaluation, audio, visualize, good people teacher relationship, etc. for devising the technology and devices for the motivating the learner in teaching learning experience for the achieving educational objectives. Teacher role in motivation. So what the teacher need to do for the motivation to the students means give the child learning experience which is well within his grasp, present the new materials in the light of what has already been learned by the child. This will make things easy for the child to grasp. Child's first experience of the school is not the pleasant, although he is anxious, he is a little hesitant also. The teacher should make the warm and pleasant person. Right? So the next thing is he should secure attention of the children by creating interest in the lesson. Securing attention is raw is the primary requisite of the school learning. Then next thing is that the interest in the classroom learning once created should be maintained and sustained for the quite a length of time. So methods of improving the motivation means set a clear and achievable goals. Then only the student can be achieve the motivation and provide the meaningful feedback. It's a regular constructive feedback promotes the progress and motivation. Encourage the autonomy, allow the learners to take the ownership of the learning process, foster the positive learning environment, that means supporting only. Use a positive reinforcement, reward progression and achievements. Emphasize the instructive motivation, that means instructive means within the uh, factors like knowledge and rewards and everything, achievements, everything. Provides the opportunity for choice and control. Allow the learners to make the decision and take responsibilities. And then encourage self-reflection and self-assessment. Help the learner identify their strengths and weaknesses. Providing the opportunities for the social interaction and collaboration. So the learning with other enhances and motivation. So celebrate the success and progress, acknowledge the and celebrate the learner's achievement. So to conclude this, by implementing these strategies and indicators can learners can foster a motivated learning environment, and leading to create increased engagement, persistence, and academic success. So thank you for watching this video. If you skip means you can't get anything. So by the question paper also I am sharing with you all. So I hope you all get this topic. Thank you.